Hello everybody, Larry Young here again with another segment of OLaMan Living Life with Purity. And today I want to talk a little bit about the Phantom of the Opera. And in that Andrew Lloyd Webber movie and Broadway play that went on and his beautiful soundtrack, there was a song in there called The Masquerade. And your homework today is to go and download that song on YouTube or whatever, play it, read the lyrics, and tell me if that's not what is going on right now at this very moment. The lyrics, this was an amazing call to action back then, and now I think everyone's going to try to disassociate themselves with it, that being the Hollywood types and whatnot, because the Masquerade is in full effect right now. So you have to be very, very careful. And it's going to be done by the media and the Hollywood types. They're going to try to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear and tell you that it's a Coach bag or it's a Yves Saint Laurent or something like that of the highest caliber. They're lying. They're putting on a masquerade. And we have to be very, very careful about that, because this is just another cog in the wheel that's been developing here for the last decade or more. And it actually goes back to 1915, but I'll talk about that. It has to do with the school system. But there's too much for these people to try to cover up right now to tell their new story that they're going to do. But they're counting on the general population to be too stupid to understand and remember the lies they told them just previous to this. Now they have to go back and cover it all up. This is going to be the sound of tap dancing just all over the globe right now. It's scary, it's dangerous, and it's concerning. It's very concerning, not just to me and others like me. I believe it's very concerning to our Blessed Mother and the Holy Family and Jesus and God and their plans for this particular country to try to lead the world. And Our Lady of America came and asked for the children of America to lead the world by the purity of their lives. And like I said before, I'm not just talking about your sexual behavior and things like that. Everyone wants to always go to the basics of that, but it's far more than that. And this is going to be a test of purity in how we react to and whether we listen to or give these masqueraders our time and attention. All I can say is just disavow it, just walk away from it. The George Clooney's of the world, they will lie about whatever they have to do to get their person in. And what has happened here in the last several weeks has been what we would call a soft coup. And the last time something like this happened that was such of importance on the world stage happened back in February of 2013. Can any of you recall what happened that time? Pope Benedict XVI was sat down under the guise that his health was failing and he didn't have the strength to carry on. So they told you that that was the reason that Benedict XVI was sitting down. But we've come across a copy of Benedict XVI's last will and testament, and it was 16 pages long. Now, the man did not have that much material possessions to bequeath to other people, and the list wasn't about that, but most of his 16-page document was his testament. And what he did in that is he told the truth about what went on in 2013, and with his being set down and told to vacate his chair. This was all done by the folks in what we call the Lavender Mafia. Pope Benedict XVI, I believe, was given a take it or leave it offer, and they basically told him either you sit down or we'll set you down. And the way they set people down is not very kind. It usually ends up with a last breath and a funeral about 8 days later. It's happened throughout, so anyone wants to question that, all they have to do is go back and look at the history of the Catholic Church and the popes. So the church, the Catholic Church, went through a coup back in 2013, and everyone sort of looked the other way on that. But it was a coup, and the last will and testament will exemplify things in order with that. Now, my friend Alex Fiato, who is many times on this podcast with me, he's got the copy of it. He's going through it right now, and he's going to be doing a report, and we will share that with you, all the findings of what was in that 16-page document. Now, just to tell you how important this is, there was a gentleman, I believe back in 2014, who told officials that he had a copy of this particular document. And he told them that he was going to review it and release it to the world. The next morning, he was found dead. The very next morning. So Alex is looking at all these things. He'll be delivering this history in an upcoming segment here. But the thing I want to get across is that these coups happen in positions of power. And when people are fighting for power, many times all they can really do is just eliminate the top dog in the chain and just replace them with the next one up. So it's not a democracy. It's not a vote. It's a machine. And what we have right now is there's a machine type of power mongering going on in the Catholic Church, as well as a machine type power mongering going on with the United States political system, mainly among the left side in the Democratic Party. They used to be known as the champions of the worker, and now they're basically the enemy of the worker. All the jobs that they're taking away from hardworking Americans and giving to our new arrivals is just appalling, what is happening right here. And what is happening to our lower classes of people, the folks who are trying to make their way out of their income level to graduate upward, are being stymied. And this is a different form of racism. And it's even more than that. It's more of a formal disregard for the people in the lower sectors who are trying to make their way up. And this is being done by your elites at the top, who all they want is to maintain control and power so that they can keep their prestige going on at the expense of the little people. And so when a little person does make it through, they talk about, hey, welcome to the club. You know, it's kind of like being a member of the Legatus group, you know. They talk a lot, they stroke each other, but they really don't do anything. That's a whole nother story. It's just a crazy thing that's going on right now. We have all sorts of lies are coming out. We have people trying to, in the media, are saying that Donald Trump and his group staged the entire assassination attempt. It was all on them. They did it. They were responsible for it. That Donald Trump wasn't shot, that he cut his ear with a paperclip. It was all planned, and he didn't care how many people got killed, that there was actually supposed to be more people killed. And the FBI statements the other day kind of shown that this young man planned on taking out a lot of people that day, including the president. So very, very fortunate those police officers took a look up over the edge of the roof line at that moment when they did, to distract this young guy, because he had to turn and fire very, very quickly at that point because he thought the jig was up. And he was just 8 shots away from, self-determining that, because it was after his 8th shot he finally took one between the eyes. Great shot by our counter sniper. So we have a lot of lies are coming out right now, obvious lies, and a lot of, no, we didn't say that type statements. Because think back, it was only a week or more ago that the world was wanting to know who Joe Biden was going to be picking for his new running mate, because they didn't think that Kamala Harris was equipped to do the job or could bring the votes because of her lackadaisical or lack of performance the last 3.5 years. So the story has changed. Now all of a sudden she's going to be Wonder Woman in the media type. So all this is coming out right now. So this song Masquerade that was in Phantom of the Opera, you should listen to it. And understand what is happening in the world right now and see it for yourselves. I just can't kind of internally laugh about this, but cry at the same time as to what is happening here. Now, with that said, we're going to see what happens here, but I'll be watching, you be watching too. There's another song on that soundtrack there from Phantom of the Opera. It was always one of my favorites, and I always thought of it not just as being a love song, but also a song of a crying out by our Lord Jesus. And it's a song called All I Ask of You. And it's a plea for love from the Phantom to Christine, asking, all I ask of you is that you love me. That's all I want. And Jesus is basically saying the same thing. He doesn't want us to use him for our own needs and gains. He just wants us to love him and understand him and be a part of that. And don't trick other people into thinking that Jesus said something when they don't complete the entire statement that Jesus said. And I have one in particular was what the President Biden said on Easter Sunday when he declared that it was Transgender Day on Easter afternoon. Great timing on that. I'm still sickened by it. But what he said was, we're all made in God's image. But he forgot to mention the rest of it, that we're in the made in God's image, man and woman. So they always want to leave that part out if it doesn't favor their talking point that they want to get across. They will pick and choose those segments that bolster their argument and figure that you're too stupid and too lame and too lazy to go figure out what the truth of the matter is. Well, the thing is, when you wear a mask long enough, like the Scooby-Doo episodes, as soon as that mask comes off, everyone says, yeah, I kind of knew it was you all along. I knew the real truth. So we need to believe these people. They told us who they were. They showed us who they were. We shouldn't let them off the hook on this. They need to own that. And they need to apologize profusely before they can go on and be the people of the voices of the networks who can lecture to us or tell us what is going on, because they just can't be trusted. So we need to be mindful of that. So today's segment is more about a warning and an observation. Now, in prayer over the last month and a half, I've been receiving a message, if you will, that's been recurring. And it's Our Lady's plea to get your children out of the public schools. Your children are the targets, and she doesn't want to see them hurt. So she's asking to please defend your children by removing them from this petri dish, if you will, that's going on right now. I say this today, and I finally had to come to the realization I had to say something because of something that happened yesterday at a meeting of public school teachers, and something was going on with this Randy Weingarten. The human blowtorch got up there and was talking about how they're going to make progress, and we're on our way, and that the school system is going to be the ones that are going to deliver this progress to the world and all like that. We have to save the children. No, this woman's trying to destroy the God issue and God's intention with these children by saying that we will take care of these children. We are the power to be dealt with here. It's very, very scary. And now this woman came out of the New York public school system. And those of you who watched my earlier podcast with on Archbishop Knoll and how he tried to fight back against the secularization of the public school systems began back in 1915. Now, Father Knoll at that time was just a good parish priest up here in the Northeast Indiana area. But in 1915, what they did was they took over the Gary school system, and they tried to employ a new model that would be the model for the nationwide educational system. And this came out of the White House, and the communists who had entered into the educational system at the national level. Their goal was to remove God and the family from the dialect in the schools, that there was to be no reference to mom and dad and things like that. It was all about the child and the state. And this was very, very communist in its design. And what they were to do was to prototype this type of program at the Gary school system level. And then in 1917, they took it directly to New York City, and they employed it across the entire breadth of the educational system in New York City. And it's now been adopted clear across the country. And you have people like this Weingarten gal is going out there and trying to steamroll people and to goad them into becoming part of their power grid, if you will. So what we are faced with right now is a dynamic from this side of the border of people who want to have people in control of the destiny of man, and not God to be in the control of the destiny of man. And their plan is to use the school systems to breed these types of ideas and thinking and modeling in these children, so that they go through life with this, and then they'll have a permanent, left-leaning, non-God-fearing group of people in the world, and that the God-fearing people are going to be this subset who are going to be attacked and criticized and shut down, and basically probably going to be outlawed at one time too. So I can see that happening, not in my lifetime, but maybe a couple of generations away. They're going to try to, I think, eliminate God from the discussion, because they're going to say God is something we need to dismiss because God doesn't exist. It's just a creation of man's thought and mind and transparency, trying to get away from being labeled. Well, you're a bad guy, and all like, well, God has forgiven me, and things like that. They want to eliminate all those types of things. But what we're heading to right now is a choice between two higher powers. You have the left is over here trying to say that the state is the God and will be the higher power, and we will take care of you. You need to trust us. And then you have the other side that says God is still in charge, and we bend our knee to God and to God's will. And you can kind of tell which side of these arguments are playing that way. Now, when Donald Trump was shot the other week, I said that he came to a realization. He thought he knew what he was supposed to be doing or who he was. Well, in that moment, and afterward, we were reflecting on things with his doctors and the other folks who were trying to dissect what happened in that moment. He knows now that he was saved by God's providence. He knows it. Now, when something like that happens, and it happened to me, I've been saved a couple times from imminent death. And when I was hanging off the building one time back in 2001, and I thought for sure I was about to die, and I was saved by little Bobby Cobbs, the smallest man in 3 counties, I knew in that moment that there was a reason I had been brought to that property. I still wasn't convinced of anything going on with anything mystical. I knew that there was some weird stuff going on, but I wasn't diving into it and saying, oh, it's Lord, it's all like this. I was still trying to deal with the facts and trying to just deal with the gravity of the situation. If anyone's ever been there, they understand that if anyone got in charge of that place and, one moment to the next, their life changes dramatically. And you have to deal with the facts and the physical needs of dealing with this stuff. It's just a lot of work. But I knew in that moment that I was destined to try to do something that was not for me, but was for God and that higher power. So right now, be careful, be mindful of the messages that people are putting out. You just can't trust these things. Use your eyes, know who you are, use your intellect, be confident in this. Let's keep things together here. Let's stay on the rosary for our nation. There was a 9-month novena that was started by Cardinal Burke, I believe, back in February. Let's stay on that. If you can't pray the entire rosary that day, take time for it. Just try to think about, how you're going to center your day and how you're going to commit things from yourself to try to take care of the needs of this country before it's all gone. So let's try to be mindful of these things. Let's pray for heaven to keep showering us down with these graces that I can feel are coming and are coming. I can feel it right now. I don't know if you can. But the graces are being shed upon us. So take the time to ask for the unclaimed graces. It's very, very important, and it's very, very uplifting. Because if this person over here isn't going to claim those graces, I'll take their share. And I will, if I can, I'll give it to somebody else that I feel is in need. These are things that we can do. This is how God's love moves from person to person. So let's stay mindful of these things. Be careful about what you watch and what you read, and try to consider the source on these things. And don't forget your history, because this masquerade is going to be out here to try to push all of the recent history to the side and say, no, that's not what happened, even though they were the ones that were saying it. So they're going to lie, they're going to cheat, and they will do whatever they can to make sure that their machine stays in power, because it's not about who is at the top, it's about who is pulling the strings. So this is what is going on with this right now. So pray for your country, pray for yourself for the strength, the courage, the wisdom, the grace to know what to do and when to do it, these types of things. And in the meantime, remember, I love you, and I'll be back.